Hello there, you perfectly lovely little muggles. My name is Sarah and I'm reading from Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K Rowling. This is the second part of the chapter I started last night, The Journey from Platform 9 3/4. A whistle sounded. "Hurry up!" their mother said, and the three boys clambered onto the train. They leant out of the window for her to kiss them goodbye, and their younger sister began to cry. "Oh, don't, Ginny, we'll send you lots of owls. We'll send you a Hogwarts toilet seat." "George!" "Only joking, Mum." The train began to move. Harry saw the boys' mother waving and their sister, half laughing, half crying, running to keep up with the train until it gathered too much speed, and then she fell back and waved. Harry watched the girl and her mother disappear as the train rounded the corner. Houses flashed past the window, and Harry felt a great leap of excitement. He didn't know what he was going to, but it had to be better than what he was leaving behind. The door of the compartment slid open, and the youngest red-headed boy came in. "Anybody sitting here?" he asked, pointing at the seat opposite Harry. "Everywhere else is full." Harry shook his head and the boy sat down. He glanced at Harry and then looked quickly out the window, pretending that he hadn't looked. Harry saw that he still had a black mark on his nose. "Hey, Ron!" The twins were back. "Listen, we're going down the middle of the train. Lee Jordan's got a giant tarantula down there." "Right," mumbled Ron. Harry, said the other twin. "Did we introduce ourselves? Fred and George Weasley. This is Ron, our brother. See you later then." "Bye," said Harry and Ron. The twins slid the compartment door shut behind them. "Are you really Harry Potter?" Ron blurted out. Harry nodded. "Oh, well, I thought it might just be one of Fred and George's jokes," said Ron. "And have you really got, he pointed at Harry's forehead. Harry pulled back his fringe to show the lightning scar. Ron stared. "So that's where you know who—" "Yes," said Harry, "but I can't remember it." "Nothing?" said Ron eagerly. "Well, I remember a lot of green light, but nothing else." "Wow," said Ron. He sat and stared at Harry for a few moments. Then, as though he'd suddenly realised what he was doing, he looked quickly out the window again. "Are all your family wizards?" asked Harry, who'd found Ron just as interesting as Ron had found him. "Yeah, I think so," said Ron. I think Mum's got a second cousin who's an accountant, but we don't talk about him." "So you must know lots of magic already." The Weasleys were clearly one of those old wizarding families the pale boy in Diagon Alley had talked about. "I heard that you went to live with muggles," said Ron. "What are they like?" "Horrible. Well, not all of them. My aunt and uncle and cousin are, though. Wish I had 3 wizard brothers." "5, said Ron. For some reason, he was looking gloomy. "I'm the 6th in our family to go to Hogwarts. You could say I've got a lot to live up to. Bill and Charlie have already left. Bill was head boy, Charlie was captain of Quidditch, now Percy's a prefect. Fred and George mess around a lot. But they still get really good marks and everyone thinks they're really funny. Everyone expects me to do as well as the others. But if I do, it's not a big deal because they did it first. You never get anything new either. With 5 brothers, I've got Bill's old robes, Charlie's old wand, and Percy's old rat." Ron reached inside his jacket and pulled out a fat grey rat, which was asleep. "His name's Scabbers, and he's useless. He hardly ever wakes up. Percy got an owl from my dad for being made prefect, but they couldn't have... But I got Scabbers instead." Ron's ears went pink. He seemed to think that he'd said too much because he went back to staring out of the window. Harry didn't think there was anything wrong with not being able to afford an owl. After all, he'd never had any money in his life until about a month ago, and he told Ron so. All about having to wear Dudley's old clothes and never getting proper birthday presents. This seemed to cheer Ron up. "And until Hagrid told me, I didn't know anything about being a wizard, or about my parents, or Voldemort." Ron gasped. "What?" said Harry. "You said, you know whose name?" said Ron, sounding both shocked and impressed. "I'd have thought you of all people." "I'm not trying to be brave or anything saying that name," said Harry. "I just never knew you shouldn't. See what I mean? I've got loads to learn." "I bet," he added, voicing for the first time something that had been worrying him a lot lately. "I bet I'm the worst in the class." "You won't be. There's lots of people who come from muggle families and they learn quickly enough." While they'd been talking, the train had carried them out of London. They were now speeding past fields full of cows and sheep. They were very quiet for a time, watching the fields and the lanes flick past. Around 12:30, there was a great clattering outside the corridor, and a smiling, dimpled woman slid back her door and said, "Anything off the trolley, dear?" Harry, who hadn't had any breakfast, leapt to his feet, but Ron's ears went pink again, and he muttered that he'd brought sandwiches. Harry went out into the corridor. He'd never had any money for sweets with the Dursleys, and now they had pockets rattling with gold and silver. He was ready to buy as many Mars bars as he could carry. But the woman didn't have Mars bars. What she did have were Bertie Bott's ever-flavour beans, Drooble's best blowing gum, chocolate frogs, pumpkin pasties, cauldron cake, licorice wands, and a number of other strange things that Harry had never seen in his life. Not wanting to miss anything, he got some of everything and paid the woman 11 silver sickles and 7 bronze nuts. Ron stared as Harry brought it all back into the compartment and tipped it onto the empty seat. "Hungry, are you?" "Starving," said Harry, taking a large bite out of a pumpkin pasty. Ron had taken out a lumpy package and unwrapped it. There were 4 sandwiches in there. He pulled one of them apart and said, "She always forgets I hate corned beef." "Swap you for one of these," said Harry, holding up a pasty. "Go on." "You don't want this, it's all dry," said Ron. "She hasn't got much time," he added quickly, with 5 of us. "Oh, go on, have a pasty," said Harry, who had never had anything to share before, or indeed anyone to share it with. It was a nice feeling, sitting there with Ron, eating their way through all of Harry's pasties and cakes. The sandwiches lay forgotten. "What are these?" Harry asked Ron, holding up a packet of chocolate frogs. "They're not really frogs, are they?" He was starting to feel that nothing would surprise him. "No," said Ron, "but see what the card is. I'm missing a gripper." "What?" "Of course you wouldn't know. Chocolate frogs have cards inside them, to collect. Famous witches and wizards. I've got about 500, but I haven't got a gripper or Ptolemy." Harry unwrapped his chocolate frog and picked up the card. It showed a man's face. He wore half-moon glasses, had a long crooked nose and flowing silver hair, beard and moustache. Underneath the picture was the name Albus Dumbledore. "So this is Dumbledore," said Harry. "Don't tell me you've never heard of Dumbledore," said Ron. "Can I have a frog? I might get a gripper." "Thanks." Harry turned over his card and read, "Albus Dumbledore, currently headmaster of Hogwarts, considered by many the greatest wizards of modern times. Professor Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the dark wizard Grindelwald in 1945. For the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood and his work on alchemy with his partners Nicholas Flamel, Professor Dumbledore enjoys chamber music and 10-pin bowling." Harry turned the card back over and saw to his astonishment that Dumbledore's face had disappeared. "He's gone." "Well, you can't expect him to hang around all day," said Ron. "He'll be back. I've got Morgana again, and I've got about 6 of her. Do you want it? You can start collecting." Ron's eyes strayed to the pile of chocolate frogs waiting to be unwrapped. "Help yourself," said Harry. "But in, the Muggle world, people just stay put in photos." "Do they? What, they don't move at all?" Ron sounded amazed. "Weird." Harry stared as Dumbledore sidled back into the picture on his card and gave a small smile. Ron was more interested in eating the frogs than looking at the famous witches and wizards cards, but Harry couldn't keep his eyes off them. Soon he'd not only Dumbledore and Morgana, but Hengst of Woodcroft, Albrecht Grunion, Merlin. He finally tore his eyes from all the druidess who was scratching her nose to open up a bag of Bertie Bott's ever-flavoured beans. You've got to be careful with those," Ron warned Harry. "When they say every flavour, they mean every flavour. You get all the ordinary ones like chocolate and peppermint and marmalade, and then you get spinach and liver and tripe. George reckons he had a bogey-flavoured one once." "Oh," Ron picked up a green bean, looked at it carefully and bit into the corner. Sprouts!" They had a good time eating the ever-flavoured berries. Harry got toast, coconut, baked beans, strawberry, curry, grass, coffee and sardine, and he was even brave enough to nibble the end of a funny grey one that Ron wouldn't touch, which turned out to be pepper. The countryside, now flying past their window, was becoming wilder. The neat fields had gone, and now there were woods, twisting rivers, and dark green hills. There was a knock on the door of the compartment, and the round-faced boy that Harry had passed on platform 9 3/4 came in. He looked tearful. "Sorry, you haven't seen a toad at all." When they shook their heads, he wailed, "I've lost him! He just keeps getting away from me." "He'll turn up," said Harry. "Yeah," said the boy miserably. "Well, you see him." He left. "Don't know why he's so bothered," said Ron. "If I'd brought a toad, I'd lose it as quickly as I could. Mind you, I brought Scabbers, so I can't really talk." The rat was still snoozing on Ron's lap. "He might have died and you wouldn't know the difference," said Ron in disgust. "I tried to turn him yellow yesterday to make him more interesting, but the spell didn't work." "I'll show you, look." He rummaged around in his trunk and pulled out a very battered-looking wand. It was chipped in places, and something white was glinting at the end. Unicorn's hair, nearly poking out. Anyway, he just raised his wand when the compartment doors slid open again. The toadless boy was back, but this time he had a girl with him. She was already wearing her new Hogwarts robes. "Has anyone seen a toad? Neville's lost one," she said. She had a bossy sort of a voice, lots of bushy brown hair and rather large front teeth. "We've already told him that we haven't seen it," said Ron, but the girl wasn't listening. She was looking at the wand in his hand. "Are you doing magic? Let's see it then." She sat down. Ron looked taken aback. All right." He cleared his throat. "Sunshine daisies, butter mellow, turn this stupid fat rat yellow." He waved his wand, but nothing happened. Scabbers stayed grey and fast asleep. "Are you sure that's a real spell?" said the girl. "Well, it's not very good, is it? I've tried a few simple spells just for practice, and it's all worked for me. Nobody in my family's magic at all. It was ever such a surprise when I got my letter, but I was ever so pleased, of course. I mean, it's the very best school of witchcraft there is. I've heard. I've learned all our set books off by heart, of course. I just hope it'll be enough. I'm Hermione Granger, by the way. Who are you?" She said this all very fast. Harry looked at Ron and was relieved to see by his stunned face that he hadn't learnt all the set books off by heart either. "I'm Ron Weasley," Ron muttered. "Harry Potter," said Harry. "Are you really?" said Hermione. "I know all about you, of course. I've got a few extra books for background reading, and you're in modern magical history, and the rise and the fall of the dark arts, and great wizarding events of the 20th century. "Am I?" said Harry, feeling dazed. "Oh, goodness, didn't you know? I found out everything I could if it was me. Do either of you know what house you'll be in? I've been asking around, and I hope I'm in Gryffindor. It sounds by far the best. I hear Dumbledore himself was in that one, but I suppose Ravenclaw wouldn't be too bad. Anyway, we'd better get back and look for Neville's toad. You two had better change, you know. I expect we'll be there soon." So she left, taking the toadless boy with her. "Whatever house I'm in, I hope she's not in it," said Ron. He threw his wand back into his trunk. "Stupid spell. George gave it to me. Bet he knew it was a dud." And I'm going to continue reading. So if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can just catch up now. Or you can clean your teeth, you can wash your hands, and you can give yourself a great big huge cuddle. I'll see you tomorrow night. Night night.